Okay, we are recording. I want to welcome everyone to tonight's Tiger Talk. I also want to kind of just set up some norms, if you will, as we go today. Our purpose for gathering this evening is to provide you some information about anything Tiger, and right now, everything Tiger has to do with the possible or with the fact that we will be able to offer face-to-face opportunities for our students. I do want to say that I have everybody muted right now. So everybody's muted. You do have the ability of unmuting yourself, but I'm going to ask you to please keep yourselves muted until we get to the questions and answers component. Uh, you may also use the chat and put some comments in the chat if you'd like. I won't be able to get to those so I'll wait till we get to the end, and then I'll address questions in the chat as well, or address them live. I will say as well that doing the best that we possibly can, considering the circumstances, just like you are. I wish that I could we could provide a setting, if you will, or a program that would be great for everyone. The reality is that we are doing with the next coming weeks the best that we can within the that we've received. So any disagreements, I just ask all of us, like we always do, to just keep everything courteous and professional. If we have questions, I will do my best to address them. I don't want you leaving tonight without you having the opportunity to ask your questions. So I do have a presentation that we have for you, and I'm going to go through that presentation, and hopefully that'll answer a lot of your questions. And by the time we get, you'll have an opportunity to ask some questions, and then we'll move from there. If you ask a question that I don't have an answer for, I will do my best to make sure that I find the answer for you in an appropriate timeline. So having said that, once again, welcome. Let me really quick just share my screen. Okay. So our agenda is for this evening is a welcome. We've done that. And then the implementation of our reopening, and then anything for the good of the order when we'll take some questions. Okay. So our county moved to the red tier on Tuesday, March 9th. Now, awesome news for the county and for schools. When schools closed in March, we closed from literally from one day to the next. We thought, oh, well, maybe we'll be back in after spring break. And then maybe we'll be back after the summer. Well, here we are almost 1 year from the closures, and our county has been in a tier, and the most restrictive tier. So we were only able to offer distance learning for this year up to now. So since our county moved to the red tier on Tuesday, March 9th, we are eligible to open up and offer face-to-face instruction. Now, I will say this, face-to-face instruction, like anything, this particular school year is going to take a different look. Under the current attendance model for the 2021 school year, schools are offering distance learning, and we're using attendance as bisynchronous and asynchronous assignments. Right now, even if we wanted to open up and bring everybody back, we couldn't mandate that anyone come back. And we still have some families who aren't comfortable with sending their kids back for face-to-face instruction, and that's perfectly fine. Some of us want to send our kids back. We're going to start off, and I'm going to explain here just exactly what that's going to look like with the face-to-face component. And what the red tier does is that under the purple tier, it was under cohorts. We had to know exactly how many kids, no more than 16 people, adults included, and it's the same cohorts. Now with the red tier, that's allowed some flexibility based on the guidance that we're getting from the state as also from our county health department. So our target date of implementation is March 29th, which is Monday, March 29th. Okay. Our objective is to offer face-to-face interaction to all of our students at Imperial High School. Now, some things to consider. Some of our students need the interaction. And I will go as far as saying, ladies and gentlemen, that all of our students need the interaction, okay? However, some of you will opt not to send your kids. That's okay. Some of you are gonna opt out. Some will choose what classes to attend. We wanna encourage them, if you're gonna send your children, we wanna encourage you to send them to each of the classes on each of the days that we offer the face-to-face interaction, and avoid, picking and choosing, if you will. But I will say that that is an option as well. Phase in the face-to-face. We're going to phase in or the transition to face-to-face, providing that interaction on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays for one period each day to minimize the transitioning of students on campus. We still have to social distance. We still have to wear face coverings. And since we are a secondary school, meaning we're 7 through 12, our students have multiple teachers and subjects throughout the day. So the difference between 7 through 12 and K through 6 is that in K through 6, as you well know, it's one self-contained classroom. So in 7 through 12, it's one student, multiple teachers, multiple classrooms. So we're minimizing or the amount of transitioning that kids are going to happen. That's why we're offering this on a limited basis, if you will. Just keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that this is a transition from what we've been doing for almost a year to back to face-to-face, okay? It's a first step, and how many more steps we can take will depend on the conditions of the county and where we keep going. We're all hoping that we keep on a positive trajectory and we continue to get better cases. We get more people vaccinated, we get less cases, and we're able to transition into an orange or a yellow tier eventually, okay? So we're looking right now to go into groups A and B to minimize the number of students on campus at the beginning. I'll be honest, as I always am with you, this decision, whether to go into an A group or split the school in two, is still to be determined, but you can help us determine that by letting us know what, if you plan on sending your child to school under the model that we have. And tomorrow morning, I'll be sharing a link with you with a form that if you intend to send your child, we're going to ask you to fill out. I'm also going to share it with our teachers so that they can share it with your students, and it's going to be shared in their English classes, okay? So your students will get the link, and then once we get that information, it'll give us a better idea of how many students are actually, or families are going to participate, all right? And that will determine if we have to divide the campus in two. What I mean by that, we would go students whose last name begins with A through L would be group A. Students whose last name begin with M through Z would be group B. So group A and group B. Minimize the number of students on campus at one time. You have to remember, we have 1,353 students right now, active students at Imperial High School. So it would not be practical to bring them all in at once because we still have to adhere to social distancing parameters inside the classroom. So the classroom is limited in terms of the number of students we can have. And I'll get more into that as we move forward. So the schedule would be to continue with distance learning in the morning, all right? And provide, then it would be prep time or planning from 1 to 2, and then class would go from 2:05 to 3:25. Okay. Note, I have a note there for ninth grade orientation 1 week prior. I'm going to speak on that later on for any of our ninth grade parents. This is what the schedule looks like. So as you can see right now, Mondays, they alternate. So on Mondays, your kids either have first, second, and third, or fourth, fifth, and sixth. So this coming Monday, the 15th of, you are going to be in first, second, and third. All right. And then lunch is from 12 to 1. And then we have asynchronous instruction, engagement, and planning from 1 to 3:25. So that's not going to change. Okay. That's not going to change. And if you look over here on Friday, it's also it's similar. Nothing changes on Friday. Okay. Now, Tuesday, we always meet with nothing's going to change except something toward the end. So we still have advisory, first, second, and third period, lunch from 12 to 1, then prep or planning time. And then we're going to have our students who choose to participate attend their first period class that day, their first period class. And so they'll come over to school and they'll go to their first period class. And then the teacher will greet them, excited to see them. And then they'll have an activity or activities planned to support what they're already doing in that particular class. All right. So that would be what Tuesday looks like. Wednesday, same thing, advisory, fourth, fifth, and sixth period, lunch. But then now your students are coming to second period. Thursday, once again, first, second, and third, but now they're coming to third period because we have 6 periods throughout the day. Friday, we're back to what it looks like right now. Now, I understand. Wow, it's an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes. But remember, we're easing back into it. We don't know how many families are going to participate. We will know more by the end of next week. And we are getting ourselves back acclimated into this component. So I just want you to understand that all of us would love to come back and say, hey, let's go first through sixth period and let's get back to the way it was before we had to close. We want that too. Right now, we're going to ease ourselves back into it. We have today, I'll tell you, it's the 175th day that schools have been closed. And I really believe, I know that there's a lot going on, but our teachers have done an awesome job of adjusting to this model. Your students have done an awesome job of adjusting to this model. You as parents have done an awesome job of adjusting to this model. So now we've had a year of a lot of adjusting, and now we're transitioning back to face-to-face, and hopefully this will lead us into the summer and into the fall. All right. So the way it works, the first week, which would be the week of the 29th of March, group A would come A through L. Okay. And then the second week, it would be the M through Z group B, for first, second, and third once again. So that would allow us, your children, to come to school every other week, if you will. But we also have to see what the numbers are in classrooms. Okay. So there's a lot of moving parts, as there always have been. So like I said, I want to just emphasize that we're working to make the best the possible experience, but easing into it as opposed to jumping full bore because of the limitations that we have to adhere to as well. All right. Now, I'm not going to read this whole slide to you, but this is the transportation guidance. If you use school transportation will be available. We have communicated with our transportation department, and these are just some of the guidelines that will be applied to transportation. These are guidelines I received on March 8th that come from the county, the public county health officer. Okay. Now we can share this information with you as well. It's on, I believe it's on our district website, but we can post it on our school website. So face coverings be worn at all times. It applies to all students, staff, or other adults in the bus or van. There'll be symptom screening for all students prior to entering the vehicle. Staff should have access to emergency communication, contact information to reach parents. We'll have hand sanitizer available to all students and drivers on the bus. We will shall attempt to maintain as much physical separation between students at all times as practicable. Students of the same household or student cohorts should be grouped wherever practicable. You know, so if you have 3 children and you're all live in the same home, then you can sit together. On the bus, the minimum requirement shall be no more than 2 students seated together on a bench seat. However, greater separation between students should be maintained whenever practical. That means that it'll be 2 students per seat. Obviously, if this bus isn't full, there'll be room to spread out, but it'll be 2 students per seat based on the guidance that we're getting. To promote airflow, windows should be open whenever they can be safely and reasonably opened to promote airflow in the vehicle. And then vehicles shall be sanitized after each use with special attention to areas that are in physical contact with students and staff, such as handrails and other areas likely to be touched. Now, we'll probably be having another meeting specifically for parents and children who take the bus so that we can discuss more details on that. This is just general information in terms of transportation will be offered. I have indicated to the transportation department, to Mr. Roman, that we will be starting at and ending at 3:25. Okay. Now, procedure for coming onto campus, students will have access to the campus at 1:30. All right. There'll be 2 entrances, the main entrance here at the front of the school, and then the north end where the buses come in. Our students will only have access to the area that they have class in. Remember, we have to limit the moving around of students. So if your student, for example, has his class for that day on the north end of campus, then we're going to ask them to enter the north end of campus and remain on the north end of campus and not come over to the south, and vice versa. If your child has class south end of campus, then we're going to ask them to enter the south end so they can come in. What we're trying to do is avoid kids going from the south to the north if they don't need to be in the north end. All right. So now if a child comes in through a designated area that through the south, but has class in the north, we're not going to send them home, but we're going to really ask you, us help your kids, make sure that we're adhering to as much of this as possible, because we'll be able to keep a lot more control over who's where. All right. So we will have staff and we're going to put signs out there. One of our teachers mentioned like Disneyland, nice and simple. This is where you go, so that they know where to go when they're getting off the bus. They know where to go. If they have the north end, they'll go to that area. If they have class in the middle of campus, then they'll go to that area. If they have class on the south end, they'll go to that area. We'll be doing temperature checks as students come into campus. We'll ask parents to check their temperatures before sending them to school. Having said that, if your child walks to school, rides a bike, then if it's outside, check their temperature. It might be a little on the hot side, on the hot end. So what's going to happen is we'll put them aside and say we're going to have them hold off for about 10 to 15 minutes, check their temperature again. If it's normal, then they'll be okay with going to class. You know, right now we have athletics going on and we're checking temperatures before athletics. And sometimes kids are walking to practice and they'll be a little hot when we check them, but then we give them 10, 15 minutes to wait, and then they're normal, and then they're good to go. Okay, so that's with our temperature checks. Students with a temperature of 100.4 or higher, we have room 505, which is our temporary holding area. So we'll have Mrs. Aguilar there, who is our health clerk, her team will be there, and we'll have the student go there if their temperature is high, and they'll evaluate them, and if the temperature doesn't go back to normal, they'll be we're going to contact parents, and then students will be sent home. Students riding the bus will have already had their temperature checked prior to getting on the bus. So when a child gets off the bus, we won't be checking that temperature again. We'll just be directing them to their designated area where they're going to have class. If your child is running a temperature at the beginning and it's not leveling off or normalizing, we'll send them to room 505, like I mentioned, and we'll get in touch with you. We'll let you know. And then we have a 25-minute time frame to come pick up your child. We still have a couple of weeks before, so we can also release to the emergency contact. But I think this gives you some time to plan. If you're at work, you may not be able to come over and pick up your child, but if you just have someone who's available, ready to come pick up your child, should that situation happen, then we've already planned ahead. Another thing, it's allergy season, so your child may be experiencing some allergies that might be similar to COVID symptoms. In the interest of safety for now, we're asking if your child is experiencing any kind of symptoms, please go ahead and have them stay home. It's possible that the next day they won't have any, so send them right over, but it's better to err on the side of caution. If your child does suffer from allergies, we still have a couple of weeks. Go ahead and send them or contact your doctor and have them write a note indicating that they suffer from allergies. Send us you can fax us the note here to the office. We'll hand it over to Mrs. Aguilar, our health clerk, and we'll go from there. On that same note, some of your children will need to carry an inhaler. All right. We must have a doctor's order to allow a child to carry the inhaler on campus. So if that applies to you, you can email me or our health assistant as well. And then we will send you the form that needs to be filled out so that your child is allowed to carry an inhaler, because inhalers are prescribed. So we need to make sure we have that on file. Okay. Technology, if you choose to send your child to school for the time that we're offering, we're going to ask you to bring their own device. A lot of you have a school assigned device. Bring that device. Make sure that the device is charged overnight before you bring it. You're only for about an hour and 30 minutes approximately. But make sure your device is charged. I say here, bring your charger. You can put that in your backpack, but we are working on having additional devices here in case someone doesn't charge it or in case something happens. But we have kids and we have even more awesome parents. So I know that we're all going to make sure that our kids' devices are charged and they're ready to go. Great attitude to start coming back to school. So again, I note that this is tentative because to confirm alternative options, but we hope to have devices here on hand to assign for the time that they're here. And some of our teachers, if a student doesn't bring their device, they may have an alternative exercise for them to do where they don't need it. But we do want to get used to bringing your device to school. If you don't have a device because you've been using a desktop, please let me know as soon as possible. If you do have a portable device, but you haven't checked one out from school, you're welcome to bring your own personal device here to school. We'll have technology support staff on site to be able to help. Students will have access to the site Wi-Fi network, okay? And like I said, we're working on additional devices for students who've been using the desktop, have been assigned a school device, or who may, quote unquote, forget their device at home, because as parents, we all know that our kids never forget anything, right? So that's okay, it happens. Sometimes we forget our textbooks. Sometimes I forget my, but I would imagine that that would be the exception to the situation and not the standard. Okay. So once again, for the inhaler, please reach out to me or reach out to Mrs. Aguilar. And when we end right now, I will put my email on there on the chat. I will add Mrs. Aguilar's email on the chat. And I will also add my cell phone number, which all of you hopefully already have. But if not, you'll have it before we leave. Real quick, the 9th grade welcome back to campus tours. If your child is a 9th grader, they haven't been on campus. So if we bring them back on that Monday, the 29th, they're not going to know where to go. So we're looking at having a welcome back to campus tours for our 9th graders to help them get familiar with the site and some of our staff or team members prior to arriving to class. So what we would do is we would divide the class. We have 353 9th graders. We would divide that into 4 groups, one on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the week of the 22nd. And we just want to bring them in, do a welcome with all of our kids. We're going to set it up on the Shimamoto Simpson field. We're going to mark off social distancing parameters, 6 feet on the bleachers, sit each student there. And then we'll do a welcome, introduce myself, my assistant principals, Mr. Rubio, Mrs. Den, our counselors, our 9th grade teachers, and really any teacher who wants to show up so that we can introduce ourselves to our kids. So that'll be just a really quick welcome. And then from there, we'll be dividing into 6 groups and providing a little campus tour for the 9th grade students. And it'll all be social distanced. We're also going to have our link leaders participate in the event and lead them through the tour. But there'll be either an administrator or a counselor with the group as well, making sure we're adhering to social distancing, making sure we're wearing face coverings. So, and as soon as we're scheduling it from 1 to 3:25 so that your kids have a chance to get caught up or participate in their morning assignments that week before. And then we'll just, as soon as the tour is finished, then they'll be free to go home. We're looking from 1:30 to 3:25, but if it ends, if you're going to come pick up your child, I would say get over here between 3 and 3:25, because depending on how many questions they have, and I hope they have a lot, but sometimes our kids, you ask them, how was your day at school? Good. Did you do anything interesting? No. Well, so hopefully we can get a little bit more dialogue than that during this campus tour. So again, if you are opting out of it, then that's fine. It won't apply. But tomorrow, when we share that link with you, if you are going to send your children and you want them to participate, it's going to be extremely helpful to help us determine whether we have to divide the student body in 2 or just go with 1 group to start. If every child was coming back, we would have to go with a group A and a group B. But as far as I'm concerned, that would be a good problem to have. And again, it's not the ideal situation, but it's something that's less restrictive than the purple tier. Now, I will tell you this. If our county goes back to the purple tier, but we open within this time frame, we don't have to close it. We are able to stay open. So as of when we start again on the 29th, we will have 43 school days remaining in the semester. Okay. The 3rd quarter ends this week on Friday. So we're about to start the 4th quarter. And if we can start the 4th quarter like this and get your kids to some face-to-face interaction, I know it's not the ideal, but it's a step in the right direction. And from there, I'll tell you that what we want to do, our mindset, our 5 mindsets to flourish in the Tiger hybrid model, we will serve those kids who attend. If your child shows up, we're going to serve them. We're going to be flexible. We ask you to be flexible. We're going to be flexible with this as well. We're going to be positive, and we're going to build those relationships, because we haven't seen your kids in over a year, close to a year. Provide more support versus more assignments. This is not something that is designed to add to their plate already. If anything, it's designed to have your child come in and get help and at least do some assignments right there with the support of their teacher. It means that it's very impactful. Okay. I have a at the school, and my child's coming. I had a conversation with him, and I explained why I thought it was important for him to attend school, even if it's for how we're doing it. And he's coming, he's going to participate. And the reason I say that is because there were studies done during the pandemic over in parts of the United States, where they tested 3,300 students, and 30% are suffering from depression or anxiety. And, you know, you might look at your child, and your child seems to be okay, but the isolation component has an impact. It may not manifest itself, but we as human beings, we can survive alone if need be, but we are social creatures. We need to have that human interaction. Like I said, if we have to be alone, we can survive. I think we've all, as adults, experienced that, but we are naturally social creatures. And finally, we're going to have fun, folks. We're going to have fun. And I know how it's hard to say fun during this situation, Joe. Yeah, you know, we can't control that. But what we can control is our attitude toward it. And I'm not going to preach to you, you know, I'm going to try not to, but I really believe that. I believe that we can, and there's been some rough situations with some of our families. We've had some very rough situations, and I am not by any sense of the way downplaying that. But we have an opportunity here to bring some of our kids back. Ultimately, you as their parent, you have to make that decision to see what's best for your family. Is it going to be perfect? No. Is it perfect? No. Nothing ever. Even when we were pre-pandemic, it wasn't perfect. There's always a continuous opportunity for improvement, you know? And I believe we're better now than we were on March 17th. I believe we're better now than we were on the first day of school. Okay. And we are going to offer our kids that opportunity. For me personally, I'm excited. I want to see the kids. I want to talk to the kids. The teachers have the opportunity to have them in the class for an hour and a half or so. I'm just a principal, so I just have to kind of get what I can and say hi and whatnot. But, you know, that's the best that's where we are for now. Now, understand this. Can it change? Absolutely. I think this whole experience that we've lived through lets us know how resilient we are and how well we can adapt to a situation. Remember, just take a second and remember back in March 17th, 2020, when we had to close schools. I don't know about you guys, but I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. And then we thought, oh, we'll be back after spring break. We didn't come back after spring break. Then we thought, oh, you know what? We'll be back for summer school. Never came back after summer school. Oh, well, we'll be back in the fall. Well, here we are, March 10th, and now we're barely having the opportunity to come back. So I've been here for close to 35 minutes with you. Uh, let me see if there's, let me just answer some of these questions on the chat real quick. If your child does not come to campus, will they have the opportunity to join the class online in the afternoon? Will that be available and the students won't be responsible for in-class learning? Well, the in-class learning is an extension of what's already been taught in the morning. So if I zoom in on first period, if I choose to come in the afternoon, I don't gain anything on my grade, nor am I penalized for attending and for not attending. Now, what I do gain is the social interaction, if you will, the opportunity to get some assistance from my teacher. But it's not okay, come to class or you're going to lose 5 points or anything like that. So the face-to-face component is not designed to give anyone an academic advantage or a disadvantage over that. Will the students be learning new information in person session? No. The afternoon sessions are designed to provide support or enrichment. There is no additional credit. It's an extension of what we're doing in the morning. So some of you may feel, well, you know what? My student is doing pretty good. My kid has straight A's. My child has flourished and done well in distance learning. I'm not going to send him. Fine. He or she isn't going to lose anything by that. My personal opinion on that, as a dad, as a person, is it'd be good for them to come because they get to kind of change the monotony. But I've had conversations in the last week or so with families who are like, you know what, Mr. Apodaca, we're not comfortable with sending our child to school at this stage of the game. That's fine. Or you know what, my child's already doing track, so they're getting social interaction there. Fine, that's okay. I'm here to tell you that your child's not going to lose anything or gain anything academically by not coming. I wish all of them would show up, all 1,300 or 1,353. But again, that's they're not going to lose anything by not coming. It says you're calling the afternoon session a class, but is it graded or are the afternoon sessions more of a study hall? I don't like using the word study hall or tutoring because again, I'm getting a little on the philosophical end. As a teacher, I know I'm a principal, but for all intents and purposes, I'm an English teacher first and foremost. Yeah, we're not grading anything in the afternoon, but we're providing support. Some kids need it, others don't. So it's the face-to-face interaction that we're providing. Under the current guidance by the Ed Code for the 2021 school year, attendance is different, is done through engagement. Okay, so it can be seen as a study hall or tutoring, but it's a little bit more dynamic than that. It just really depends. Some of our teachers, once they get going, they're going to assess what's going on, and then we're going to use that time. I think when they first show up, they're going to be like, wow, this is what the classroom looks like again, because it's almost been a year since I've been out of here. Or maybe when they start at the first couple of weeks, but then they might say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go check this out. This sounds pretty good. So yeah, I mean, the grades are still going to happen with regards to the current model, but whether you attend or not attend the afternoon sessions, that's not going to have any positive or negative impact on your grade. I think we're talking more of a positive impact on the psyche or the participation component, but everybody's different. So, I mean, I'm just sharing with you my professional opinion here. Okay, are teachers and starting to receive COVID-19 vaccination? Yes, our district has started for the last few weeks vaccinating our staff who want the vaccine. And if things continue to go as they're going, we will have hopefully by March 26th, anyone who wants or who wants the vaccine should be vaccinated by the 26th of March, at least with the first dose. Okay, so that's once we move into the red tier, a lot of this depends on how much vaccines our county gets and how much vaccine is assigned to the districts. But every school district, to the best of my knowledge, receives a batch of vaccines, and we have to vaccinate we offer the vaccines to our teachers and everyone. Our objective is to get everybody vaccinated. With 9 weeks face-to-face learning and alternating first, second, and third, each class would meet about 4 times if we remain in the red tier. If we separate 2 groups, each class would be about twice before only the school year ends. Is that correct? Yes, that would be correct. And I know, like I said before, it's not the best situation, but it's a step in the right direction. If we only have about 50% participation, then there wouldn't be a need to separate into 2, okay? So we have to find out how many students want to participate. And we would have to, we're set to start on March 29th. I know one thing, if you think back to, I was going to say February 29th, but it was one of those 28-day Februaries. But if you look back to February 28th, we weren't in this condition. Now, when we're in February, by March 28th, 30 days later, here we are in the red tier. Where will we be after spring break? I don't know. Where will we be on April 29th with still an entire month of school left to go? Where will we be on May 14th? I don't know. I hope that we get more people vaccinated, that we get more guidance to where we can increase the numbers in the classroom. I don't know. I know today it's going to be 12 to 15 per classroom, depending on the size and the dynamics of the classroom. And that's for the safety of your children and for the safety of the staff. But in 20 days and 30 days, I don't know how that's going to look, because it may change. It may change. Some of you may be thinking, I'm not sending my kid because 12 kids in a classroom is too much. Okay, that's fine. Okay, but that's okay. What we want to do is I'm trying to make sure that we don't have more than 12 to 15 children in any given classroom at any given day. Now, as a team, we're going to be reassessing this at the end when we have April or May 29th, the first day. I'm going to meet with our staff here and we're going to identify, okay, what went well? What do we need to work on? And at the end of that first day, I'll have another Tiger Talk that day for you and say, hey, how'd it go? Give me some feedback, and even if it's just for 15, 20 minutes. But we're going to have to, as we get moving forward, we may have to have more of another one of these just so that we can get questions answered and wonderings, and ideas. You sign up your child for the bus route by reaching out, contacting our transportation department. If you send me an email, I will forward your email to Mr. Roman at the transportation department. You can also go to our district website, but if you just send me the email, I can forward that for you without a problem. Under the new tier, are athletes allowed to participate in multiple sports such as swim and soccer simultaneously? Right now, I don't think we're there, but there's more information on the athletics component. I would have to check. If you send me an email, I can get a definite answer for you on that one. Is there one period a day going to be an actual classroom? I think I've already answered that one. When will JV start to practice? I don't know. That's a good question. Will basketball commence under red tier so it'll be more social interaction, not affect their grade? Basketball, any indoor sport, has more strict guidance. So our athletic directors and our superintendents are having that conversation right now, not in this moment, but in terms of what's going to happen with indoor sports like basketball and wrestling. I kind of like study hall. That's okay. If you want to call it study hall, that's fine. It really depends on what it looks like. As a teacher, ladies and gentlemen, I taught English in a high school classroom for 13 years, and I still teach at IVC. Yes, even under this distance learning model, which is different, right? But I'd always have a plan for my kids, and it would always change because and every class has a different personality because it's made up of different human beings. All of you who have different children at home, you might have 2 or 3 or 4 kids. They're not the same, they're different. So when we have 15, 25, 30 of them, they're different too. So the beauty of teaching is identifying the heartbeat of that class and how it's going to go and how it's going to run. If the student does track at 4 p.m., do they need to leave campus and come back? That's a great question. I would say if it's done at 3, well, if they're going to be done at 3:25, they only have 30 minutes to get ready for track. We're not going to be opening locker rooms, but they can probably make their way over to the track and then just start some early stretching and get themselves going. So they can leave, but I don't think they'd have to leave. You only have 30 minutes before you start track practice, but we are going to ask kids to leave the campus because we don't want them congregating. But if they go out to the track to get ready for practice, then, and there's a coach there, we should be fine. They only have class once on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and it's just one period at a time. That's the question. Can they choose to go here and there as needed? The answer is yes. But I would rather want them, I would like to see them every day. But we're talking about flexibility, right? So we're going to be flexible with that. So yes, if they say, you know what, I'm going to go to Dr. Kozani's class on Tuesday because I have her first period, but second period, but on Wednesday, I have Mr. Apodaca, and I don't like that funny mustache he wears, so I'm not going to go to his class. And that's okay. Maybe he'll come to class next time where if the student has something else to do. But we are going to ask for parents to get that submitted, the whether you want to participate or not, by next Friday, by the 19th. That way we can make a decision to see what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Okay. Can the student? Yeah, I think I just answered that question. So the question is, so class will start on the 29th and the next week is still spring break? Yes, that's correct. So it starts on the 29th and then the following week we have spring break. And then when we come back, we'll resume again, but we don't know at this point in time if it'll be with group B because it hadn't had a chance to come over yet. Okay. So spring break, yeah, it's like, well, we're starting that week, but that'll give us a lot of information to make some decisions. But what's really going to help us, folks, is if you can get that, and I know not every parent is on this call, but if you can spread the word and fill out that link for us, that's really going to help us out. Yeah, if you're not going to send your child, but later on you change your mind, just let me know so that we can accommodate that. I don't want to turn anybody away, even if it's not at the even if it's going to be a couple weeks into the system. Okay, so the question is, what's the purpose for students bringing their devices during the in-person instruction? It seems like part of the reason to go back in person is to have human contact and break away from those devices. You know, that's an interesting question. I would say my answer to that one, and I'm not trying to be facetious by any sense of the word, technology is part of what we do right now. I mean, how many of us don't have one of these? And how many of your kids, and again, I don't know how you parent, but most kids are on these things all the time. We have to tell them, get off the device. So the technology has become part of our everyday life. I agree, but there may be assignments that they've been using technology all year long, and it'd be practical for them to do that. Now, chances are at the beginning, there's going to be a lot of discussion. Our teachers want to talk to your kids. We want to see them. We want to get to know them. All right. So I don't anticipate our kids coming to class and say, open your device and work on your own. That defeats the purpose for what we're doing. Our teachers are going to have a plan. They're going to engage your kids, and they're going to be excited about having your kids in class. We just have to keep it to 12 to 15 right now because the safety for safety. Is there a chance that we won't be 100% in person by this fall? Everything I'm hearing is that we will be very likely in person by the fall. But I say that very likely because I don't know what the future holds, of course, right? But if the trajectory continues the way it is, we're anticipating summer school to be in person, and we're anticipating next fall to be in person as well. On certain days, will they have a class twice, once in the afternoon and once in the morning, depending on period? Yes. So like on Tuesdays, they'll meet first, second, and third, and then they'll have first period in the afternoon. So it's just an opportunity to enrich or to ask questions or whatever the teacher has planned, but it's not in addition to what we're already doing. Is the link the same as a Google Doc from last week? Not if I sent it. I haven't shared that one yet. Is there any possibility that COVID vaccines will be at some point required for staff and or students? That's a good question. I haven't gotten any information. I know that the vaccines right now are not required for adults. I don't know what the law will look like down the road, so I couldn't give you an answer to that. Speculating, I would say no. But if we already have required vaccines in the elementary schools for children, but for adults, I don't know. So I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer for you on that one, but I'd be lying to you if I did. What's the plan for minimum and maximum students per class? Well, we're looking at more than 12 to 15 students per class. All students will be asked to wear or required to wear a face covering, and they'll all be social distance at least 6 feet apart. We don't have the face shields in the classroom. The guidance indicates that what we do need to have are the face coverings and be social distance 6 feet apart. The sports that are pending, such as wrestling and basketball, will they no longer be an option after a certain date, or are we keeping that option open? That's information I have to get guidance from CIF and from our local league. I would personally like to keep options open as long as possible until we have to close them. So at this stage of the game, the indoor sports aren't a go yet, but that could change tomorrow or the next week. Okay, only grades that will be provided for desk shields are TK through 6 in our district. Okay, well, we're down to 84 people still in the call, and it's 6:56. We started at 6:02. I don't like keeping you longer than an hour, but if you know me a little bit, I can stay here and talk all night if it's talking about Imperial High School. And I know.
Excuse me.
Gus, go ahead.
Mr. Apodaca, may I interrupt you? I had a question regarding drop-off zones. Because the kids will be going, different tiers, days and for such, short amount of time, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of us parents wanting to drop them off and pick them up. But I'm concerned about, the drop-off zones, if there's going to be somebody there taking care of that, because, we don't want to have a lot of kids gathering there, waiting for parents, etc. So I was wondering if there's a plan set up for that. And then my second question is, I may not be sending my 9th grader yet, but would it be recommended for him to go to the that orientation in case he were have to go later or school reopens in a different type of plan?
Absolutely. So if you're not quite sold on sending your child to school or to participate yet, that's okay. We still, if you want to send them to the campus tour, I'd say go for it. Maybe after the campus tour, you'll change your mind. Maybe he'll come back and say, hey, Mom, I got to go to school on when it opens up, or maybe he'll say, you know what, I don't want to go yet. But to answer your question, absolutely.
Do we have to sign them up for the orientation?
Yeah, we'll be reaching out on that one as well, but I will be reaching out specifically to the parents of the 9th grade via email and via call as well to see who's going to send, so we can have a good idea as to how many 9th graders we can expect, because that'll impact how we divide them during that week. And as far as the drop-off zones, that's something that we're also working on right now. We haven't had it finalized, but we will have personnel at those drop-off zones to make sure that it's being done safely.
Thank you very much for your time, and to all the teachers and all school staff for their awesome work this school year. Thank you.
No, thank you. I can't thank all of you parents enough. I mean, it's really appreciated. If your child starts coming and you decide that you don't want her to come anymore, you can have the child stop attending. That's nothing wrong with that. Student parking lot be open. We do have students who drive, so as of right now, my answer to that would be yes. Okay. So it's 6:59. Oh, real quick. There's my email address. There's my cell phone number. How would I know if my child made it to class and not Johnny's? If you send your child to school walking and he goes to Johnny's, I can't control that. But when he comes into school, we can control as much as possible, you know? And if he's riding the bus, they're going to get off on the bus. There will be dual enrollment. The plan is to have dual enrollment classes in the summer and the fall. I'm going to post Mrs. Aguilar, our health clerk. This is if your child uses an inhaler, I would reach out to Mrs. Aguilar at that email. And if you send me the email, I can also forward it to Mrs. Aguilar.
May I say something, Mr. Apodaca?
Yes, Dr. Kozani, go ahead.
Regarding that question, how do I know that my kid didn't go to Johnny's instead of the school? Always you can contact us. So I just emailed the teacher. Was my kid so-and-so at your class today? So with that, we can help you know if your child was in the classroom or not. It's just an idea. Just contact the teacher and ask the teacher.
Thank you, Dr. Kozani.
You're welcome. Just an idea.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be when we're on each day, our teachers are going to have a sign-in sheet, and we're going to take a note of who's there. So we're not just going to say, hey, how's it going? We're going to take the classes are going to be set up so that students can only sit in certain areas, and then we're going to go ahead and take note and take attendance in terms of what child or what children showed up on any given day. Hey, folks, and you know what? I mean, if you get an idea or something later on, feel free to send me an email. Feel free to send me a text. Give me a call. But if you call me, leave a message, because if I don't recognize a number, I'm not going to pick it up. But if you text me, I'll usually respond pretty quick. So it's, you know, there are no bad ideas. So I mean, have a nice evening. Thank you so much. I'm still hanging around to see, make sure everybody has any questions. But if you have no questions, you are all welcome to zone out, go get some dinner, read a little bit, watch some TV, talk to your kids, see if they want to participate. Have a nice evening. And don't hesitate to call or text if you have any questions.
Mr. Apodaca, this is Lisa Sotelo.
How you doing,
Are
Mr.
you going
Tello?
to send us a copy of the PDF that you shared in your presentation?
I'm sorry?
Will you be posting a copy of the PDF that you shared in your presentation? With
The
all-
transport. You broke up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Let's see, I'm gonna try that again. Can I get a copy of the PDF that you shared in your presentation?
Do you mean the presentation?
Yeah,
The whole-
that had all the schedules and everything?
Oh, no, I don't share those. Those are all mine. No, of course. Yeah, I'll get, yeah. Get a
Yeah,
copy of
because
that.
if you attach that to your email, because I'd like to look that over, and I was already showing Ace and grumble, 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 but try to juggle one more thing in there. I'd like a copy of it if I could get
You
that.
got it. You got it.
Or you can make Miss Keaton do it. So
I
she
asked
knows
her
where
to
to
do
find
too
me.
much already.
We make her do everything in ITA. So
So she can do it.
I know, right? Teacher of the Year. I hope you announce that to everybody.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
very proud of Miss Keaton,
Very well deserved.
right?
Thank you.
Okay. I think that was the only thing I had. All right. I'll
you
see you
so
guys
much.
later.
Okay, if there are no more questions, I'm going to end the call.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Kozani. Take care. Thanks for
Bye.
coming.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yvonne, thanks for coming.
Good night.
Good night. I'm ending the call.